Welcome back, everybody. It's Jack Ram, and thank you for being here. Thank you for taking some time to check out this new video that we'll try to get up today. You know, last night I was sitting here listening to some music, and I was thinking about the fact that I looked up at all these records. There's a whole bunch here, and there's in back of the camera here, there's another, I don't know, a lot, too many. And I just keep thinking about the fact that we have all these well-known, sometimes rare recordings, and we've got so many new recordings that have been reissued recently. Thank you all for doing that. The Chad Kessims of the world, and you know, the OJCs, and all the people who have put out some great stuff, because a lot of the stuff, as we know, it's really hard to find, especially in good condition. And it's great. I mean, and I've got them, not all of them, but I have a lot. I get them too many. But man, there's other things in our collection. There's other things in between the Kind of Blues and the Love Supremes and, you know, the War Horses that have been thankfully reissued by the people who do this so well. But I think, and I'm as guilty as anybody here, you know, sometimes we tend to ignore what we've had sitting on our shelves for maybe 2 or 3 years and listen to what we bought yesterday or last week. And, you know, and I think that's really a crime, because there's a lot of great stuff here that you can't forget about. So, you know what I did last night? I randomly pulled out four or five records here, and man, I tell you what, and I just said, I'm just going to walk up and pull a record out and listen to it. And some of these were, you know, in the last 6 months, 1 or 2, and there was 2 or 3 here that were more than many years old. So I just want to talk about those, and just kind of, I guess the point here is to not ignore what you have, you know, and only listen to what you got recently, or you know, there's just so much collections that in our collections that we don't listen to. And you know, maybe the thing to do, and I'm going to do this, is every time I get a new recording, whether it's in a store or online, I'm going to make sure I go back and pull out something old and listen to it, because man, there's so much good music. And it might even cut down buying as many new records. I don't know. It's got to stop somewhere, but probably never will. So anyhow, let's just pull out a couple of these to talk about them. You know, I got a comment on one of my past emails that I was taking my glasses on and off too much. And I forget who sent that, but you are 100% correct. It could be a little distracting and a little bit not so good on video. You know, I'm not a video genius here. I just tend to talk and tell stories and talk about records. So I'm going to keep them on today. Thank you for that. So I pulled out a record by Sid Sims and Al Cohn. In the background here is actually a CD. I wish I had the record. It's Zoot and Harry Edison on Pablo. But this is Sid Sims and Al Cohn. They did a fair amount of recording together. This is a record here that was recorded in 1987. It's not that old. It's on the Jazz record label. You know, I don't know anything about Jazz records. I'm sure Dan, the Jazz Shepherd, could probably tell me all about it. But it's on the Jazz record label. It's kind of a funny label. There's no tunes listed on the label here, which is not that big a deal. But Anyhow, it's a great record. Al Cohn and Sid Sims. Zoot was, of course, a great tenor player. I think you all know the history of Zoot. Al Cohn did a lot of arranging as well, a lot of writing and arranging, but was a great alto player. And they did a few records together. This is just one of them. But it's an interesting band on here. The record's called Happy Hoagie. That's in Hoagie Carmichael, of course. And all the tunes that are on here are all Hoagie Carmichael tunes. Nick Travis on trumpet, Jimmy Cleveland, great trombone player, Elliot Lawrence on piano, Milt Hinton on bass. Man, what a bass player. What a happy guy Milt Hinton was. Just a great, very in-demand bass player. Ozzie Johnson on drums, and Bill Elton did the arrangements. I don't know Bill Elton. But, you know, this is really a great record. It was released in 1987, but it was recorded back, I believe, you know, in the 60s. I have a feeling this is a European label. It says recorded in stereo circa 1957-58. I actually think it might be later than that. But it's really a great record. I can't remember where I found this, whether it's on Discogs or somewhere, but just to hear Jimmy Cleveland on trombone with Al Cohn and Sid Sims, a great record. Sitting here, I hadn't listened to it in years. That's Exhibit A. Let's see what Exhibit B is. Oh, this is a good record. I listened to this too the other night. And this is Dave Bailey. Dave Bailey's a drummer. This is on the Epic label. that was recorded back, I believe, in 1961. But this version was released in 2012, maybe 2013. But it's a great band. Dave Bailey, Clark Terry, Curtis Fuller. How about Clark Terry and Curtis Fuller together? I bet there aren't too many records that have those two on. Charlie Rouse, who really made his name with Monk. Horace Parlan, great underrated pianist. I believe at the time Parlan was recording as a sideband on Blue Note with a lot of people prior to moving overseas. Peck Morrison on bass, I don't know. But there's only 4 tunes on here, so they stretch out quite a bit. And man, I tell you, Clark Terry, you may know Clark. He just was a great trumpet player. Bassy band, you know, small groups, great player. Curtis Fuller plays a lot different on here than he did with Blakey. It's really a great record. Again, sitting on my shelf. This is on the Epic Jazz series. I think it was released prior, maybe on another label, but it's recorded well. It's really a heavy vinyl record too for 2012. Really a good quality vinyl, and really pretty substantial. And in fact, there's one side is one whole blues. It's just a great recording. The next record I pulled off it's kind of maybe not, you know, this is kind of a fairly well-known record, at least the series that Dexter Gordon did on Inner City, which I think was released originally. It was made on Steeplechase and released on Inner City Records. Dexter, of course, as you know, moved to Europe and recorded a bunch of records on this label with Kenny Drew. And again, I think Kenny lived in maybe in Denmark as well. Niels Orsted, Henning Pedersen on bass, and Albert Tutti Heath on drums. And all these folks lived overseas. There's 3 or 4 records on this in this series. This is called The Apartment, and recorded in 1974 on Steeplechase, later reissued on Inner City. there's again 2 or 3 of them, and they're all good sonically. They're just really, really, really recorded well. The horns balanced with the rhythm section of this is extremely well done. Again, hadn't listened to it in a while and pulled it out and really enjoyed it. Next to last, I'm going to talk about, this is a great record. Oliver Nelson, you all know Oliver Nelson from his Blues in the Abstract Truth and more Blues in the Abstract Truth. But Oliver Nelson was a busy guy. He did a lot of arranging for television, movies. He just was a real in-demand musician and arranger. This is a big band that he had in LA back in the 60s, I believe. I believe this was recorded in 1967 on the Impulse label. Not the old black and brown, black and orange Impulse, but the later Impulse when ABC Records purchased Impulse. Not great vinyl, but it's okay. I wish they reissued this, man. The recording on this is exceptional. It's as good as any big band recording I've ever heard, with 2 or 3 exceptions. It's not Basie at the Sands on MoFi, but I have to tell you, it's exceptionally well done. I think you could find this easily on Discogs, but what a band. Buddy Childers, great player. Bobby Bryant, Freddie Hill, Connie Condoli. I mean, these were the players, strong players. They do a tune here called Down by the Riverside, traditional tune, but arranged by Oliver, where each of the trumpet players play 3 or 4 choruses apiece. And man, I gotta tell you, what play it. This is one of the best big band records that I've ever heard. And you know I can't play this stuff for you, but and it might even be some versions on YouTube. I'll look, and if I can, I'll link them on here. But trombones, Billy Byers, Pete Myers, Lou Blackburn, Ernie Tack. Again, studio LA guys. Reeds were Gabe Balthazar, Kenton. Tom Scott. I believe this is Tom Scott's first recording. Bill Perkins, Jack Nimbus, and Strozier. On Milestones, the Miles Davis tune, there's a duo solo by Strozier and Tom Scott, and it must go about 15 choruses, and bills and bills. Monty Budwig on bass, Ed Thigpen on drums, Frank Strazzori on piano, who I don't know. But man, Wally Hyder, I believe, was the engineer, yeah. He knew how to record live stuff. This is a great, great record. Man, this is one of those, I'd say this is in my top 20 of records I own. I love this record. And I hadn't listened to it in a year or so. And man, it was fun. It's Impulse A 9153. Live from LA. What a band. It's unbelievable. Sorry about that. Here's another one I pulled out. You know, again, we all know Silver and Wood. Silver Wood, that's what this is. We all know 6 Pieces of Silver and Song for My Father, and all those great Horace Silver things. But sometimes I think we forget some of the other things he recorded. This is done late in Horace's recording legacy after Blue Note. This was done in 1975, and they're great arrangements to feature woodwinds. That's why I call it Silver and Wood. There's a version called Silver and Brass, which is equally as good. But the arrangements on here are just amazing. And wait till you hear who's on this. I mean, the soloists on here are just unbelievable. Tom Harrell, the great trumpet player. I love his playing with Phil Woods. Bob Berg on tenor. Of course, Horace. Ron Carter on bass. Al Foster on drums. Backup personnel on all tracks. Jerome Richardson, Lanny Morgan, Garnet Brown, Frank Rossellino. Come on. This is done 70. What did I say? 75. So Frank died in 78. Not too far. Jack Nibbitz plays Barry on one to Bill Green. But a great arrangements, great sound. This is an older Blue Note, a newer Blue Note rather. You won't. It's not the blue and white label, but it's the older Blue Note that was done in the 70s. Great recording, great band, great players, great music. And that's really, you know, I just pulled those out, and man, it was just so much fun to listen to these 5 records over the last 2 nights. And we have to realize, I'm going to take them off, not put them back on. We have to realize what we have, not just what we got recently, or as collectors. We're all looking for the, you know, the holy grail, you know, that kind of thing. Man, we have so much good stuff in our libraries. Make use of it. You know, and I'm as guilty as anybody. So tonight, maybe I'll pull out 3 or 4 more records, and we'll see what happens. Well, anyhow, thank you all for being here. If you like what you heard, hit the like button, do the subscribe thing, and we'll come back with another one. And maybe what I'll do someday is when we do this video, I'll just pull some things off that way and talk about them instead of having them ready for you. Check out your shelves. You're going to find you have a lot of great stuff there. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.